Hi, welcome to Salt and Burn This. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Valerie.
And this is our Supernatural Rewatch podcast.
Each week, we're going to break down an episode in order with lots of details, so nothing's left out.
And we throw in some personal nuggets and stories and research to mix it up just a little bit.
Because not only are we fans of the show, but like Sam and Dean, we've also had our fill of road trips.
Yeah, but for theater, not for hunting ghosts and demons.
And not in a super sexy muscle car.
Anyway, shall we?
We shall. I was not able to push that button.
That's okay. And I will, about halfway through, I was taking notes on the bus, like on the way to work, and then later at work. But so they're in two different documents, so I'm gonna have to switch over at some point.
Switch over.
my
totally
reading
fine
material.
That's okay. I stopped in the middle of my note taking to go pick up my tacos because it's Taco Tuesday. So it was just funny to hit pause, put all my notes down, get in the car, go get my tacos, come back. Open up the tacos, yes. A couple of chips, and then start back in again. I was like, oh, this is really fun. I should be nourished more often when I do
right.
This. So, two things. I asked a question about Dean, the state of Dean after he comes out of hell, after he's ripped from hell. Remember, I asked if he doesn't have any scars. Remember, he makes that comment about
that he's like a virgin and
moved as a baby.
And
yes,
all
exactly.
That. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my question was, does he still have his tattoo? He does. He does, because we see it in the first episode after he pulls himself out of the grave, and he's checking his body for said scars and stuff. We see in the tattoo,
and he's doing stuff.
And then we go and see the handprint. Then we see Castiel's burned handprint. So the answer is yes, he still has his tattoo. So there's that. And then I was talking about the nosebleeds that Sam gets, and whether or not they were.
I was totally gonna actually look that up and being like, how do they do this?
How do they do it? It's both. It is both CG and practical, and practical in the sense of real.
Yeah.
And apparently it's one of the easiest things to do in the CG world. So here I was thinking they were being super crafty and pretty cool with how they did it. It's mostly CG. So I did look it up. I
wondered.
Because we are going to see a lot more of it.
So many nosebleeds.
Yeah.
So many.
So there you go. I know everyone's been clamoring for those answers.
They have been. My inbox has been
chocked full.
Yeah.
Speaking of inbox, we hit 10,000 listens.
Oh my God, you caught it. I was
Yep.
That was another thing. I was like
I was going to email it to you.
Here's the thing.
10,000 downloads.
I have a terrible sense of time in that, for example, so I was doing pretty well with the TikTok stuff, like uploading the majority of the week, not every day, but, a decent chunk of the week. And I had one planned out that I haven't quite fully cut together yet. And it's like, okay, I don't have time to do it today. I'll do it tomorrow. It feels like it's been 2 or 3 days, but it's been probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, I did that just the other day because YouTube has a pretty good timeline, and it shows you when your last download was. So I was like, oh, it's probably, I did one yesterday, right? And I looked at it, I was like, I was like 4 days ago. Yeah, so I know exactly what you're going through. And I do the same thing. It's like I get an idea for a clip. I will start to work on it, put it together, and either I have to run away or I get distracted or I'm too tired. I'm like, oh, I'll just do it in the morning when I get up. And then for some reason, I think I've done it until I come back and I'm like, oh, look at this still on my desktop. Look at this app still open that I haven't finished, Yeah. And days go by. It's
days.
this is exhausting, Sammy.
You know what? It really
This
is.
whole podcast thing is really
It really is,
tiring.
especially when you have so many other things going on because well, you have, your job, I have mine. I have also decided to become a producer for the community theater that I joined last fall.
Uh-huh.
Um, they it's kind of cute. They take like turns being producers of the shows, and a producer
Uh-huh.
in a sense of a community theater is quite a bit different than a
You're not the money man?
I am not the money man. It's kind of a blend of producer and production manager, but more production manager and also making copies of things and keeping them out. Keep, which is fine. It's just like, okay, that's fine. I can handle that.
Yeah.
But I've also enrolled in a few classes at the New York Botanical Gardens to get a
Yep.
horticulture certificate. So,
Landscaping, yes.
hmm
That's exciting
it is exciting. So, but there's like a lot of things going on,
stuff.
a lot of stuff, and I'm having a hard time scheduling it and
You'll
keeping track of it.
you'll figure it out. You'll get your rhythm.
I will get a groove and it will be fine. But anyway,
Yes. Sammy gets her groove back. Very cool. Are you still ice skating?
I'm actually taking a lesson tomorrow at Bryant Park.
See, I listen.
You do. Season 4, Episode 9. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Sam, Dean, and Ruby discover the existence of a female prophet named Anna Milton who can hear the voices of angels and thus figures into the plans of a demon named Alastair who wants to use her as a tool against the angels. Written by Sarah Gamble and directed by Charles Beeson.
So I have a couple of questions about this
Mm-hmm.
episode. One, my biggest question is how? How did the demons know about Anna? And how did the angels know about Anna? And that's my through line for this entire, I cannot get past the how. And I know most of the stuff I can walk away from. It's a television show, Valerie, walk away type of thing. This question is not answered. It
Not
is
in
not.
this segment, but I think it gets answered later. I think it gets
Okay.
answered in the second half because this is a to be continued episode. And from
Yes.
what I remember, and I think I may have accidentally spoiled it in our previous episode.
Oh no. Oh
I can't remember,
no.
and I honestly can't remember if I left it in or not, or if I cut it out. But so I don't want to repeat it right now.
Okay. Okay.
But
Well, speaking, yeah,
I thought the reveal was going to come at the end of this episode, but I think it's
it's
later.
the next. Okay, because I couldn't stop thinking about it through the entire episode.
Yeah.
I'm watching it. I'm going, how,
Yeah,
how,
because they
how?
don't even
Because
ask
they
that question. They just kind of like,
it
oh,
just
okay,
kind
this
of
is,
here's what we're doing this week,
yep,
and it's
yep.
like,
Okay, so this recap, if we just keep it short, it's of biblical proportions, shall we say?
yeah,
Cass, angels, revelations, the seals, Lilith breaking the seals, Uriel, and then Sam and Ruby.
yep,
To sum it all up.
Yes, exactly. Boom, summed up. So real quick,
Mhm.
jumping on the title. I know what you did last summer. Now,
Oh, right.
okay, so the only connection that I could find to that
Mhm.
title is that there are 4 people affected by the title of this show. So I Know What You Did Last Summer has 4 friends who are basically being chased by a hook wielding killer throughout the movie.
Mhm.
Okay. Because somebody in the movie hit somebody with their car and then they tried to dispose of the body, but the body wasn't dead. And now, the chase ensues,
Oh, okay.
essentially. So 2 guys, 2 girls. So that is the only connection to this episode that I could find. 4 people,
2 guys, 2 girls.
2 guys, 2 girls being chased by some evil throughout this episode. And it wasn't because, well, it is because of something that somebody did, but it's not because somebody hit somebody with a car.
Right. Yeah.
That type of thing. So that's the only connection to I Know What You Did Last Summer that I could find. Um, I just want to put that out there. My title work. There is no map quest in this episode.
I
There's
noticed
no
that also.
episode. I mean, there's no location other than I think Dean mentions that it's a 3-day drive or something to get from where they are to where they need to be. But doesn't say where they are or where they're going. So
Exactly.
So the now, back to the now. It opens up with a pretty redhead in a mental hospital. She's sitting on a bed. She's kind of staring out the window a little bit, kind of tuned out, it seems, or tuned out of what our present is, but not tuned out of what her presence is. And there's a psychiatrist in the room trying to talk to her and gives us all sorts of exposition. You know, her name is Anna. She's in the mental hospital because she was hysterical. And she's having delusions of biblical, well, like you said, biblical proportions, not in the sense of big, but biblical stories, essentially. So that was, thank you, psychiatrist, for giving us exposition.
Yeah.
But it turns out that Anna is like, when she's not listening to the doctor, she's hearing something that we kind of hear, but we don't know what it is.
Whispering.
Yeah, and then when the doctor gets her attention, the whispering stops, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I'm back with you. Go ahead, tell me what's wrong with me." But what you don't know is there are demons here. There are demons around us, and their voices talking to me.
There are voices talking to her, and she also, she starts out vague. She's like, I know that you think that I'm crazy. I probably would think I'm crazy.
Yes.
But I'm telling you that there's a demon out there named Lilith, and she's trying to break 66 seals out of the 600 possible ones that there are.
Right. And that's news to us. We just thought there were 66. Okay.
That's what I thought. I couldn't remember if they had mentioned before, and I was pretty sure it's like, oh, she knows more than even we do, or that Sam and Dean know.
And that's what makes it so hard for everyone to keep up with Lilith, is because they don't know what seal she's going to try to break next.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that. We just thought, we've just been told that there's 66. And then after 66, Lucifer comes and he brings with him the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So, and since they mentioned the apocalypse a few hundred times in the coming weeks on these episodes, I just wanted to define it, because I did look it up. Because it is a biblical term. It is a descriptor from the Bible, which we've adopted into our modern vernacular. But the written in the Greek, it is in the book of Revelation, not Revelations, as is also said 100 times. But it is the complete and final destruction of the world as described in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. So that's what apocalypse is. In the Greek, which was what the Bible was originally written in, it actually means to uncover, disclose, or reveal. When it was later translated into Middle English from Latin, it means insight or vision. But in the modern terms, it means a cataclysmic event. So we've gone from to uncover, disclose, or reveal to a cataclysmic event, all taken from the Bible. So interesting, right? So is the apocalypse, so we've translated into something that is like end of times, which is bad, as opposed to a discovery. It may be end of times, but it seems like the original intention was end of times. Now we see what we have here, type of thing. So I just thought that was interesting. I didn't know that. I've always just thought it was like a terrible, awful, when cataclysmic thing, as opposed to like an enlightenment of this is the end of the journey and now we're enlightened.
I feel like the word apocalypse, I feel like I've always attributed that to something like terrible, cataclysmic,
like
that's it, giant catastrophe. But I know that there are versions of the end of times, or the book of Revelations, or like that whole I forget the term of it, like when the souls are like lifted out of the bodies, it's like a whole, like a one-time event, and I forget what it's called.
Oh, the rapture.
The rapture. but I know that I've had it described to me as oh, this is where peace and happiness comes from.
Hmm.
This is the
Interesting.
start of the good time, and it's kind
Right?
of more TV media that leads it into like, oh, now it's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. It's
Even
all about
cartoons, there's like an episode of American Dad where it's like the apocalypse and it turns into a kind of like a Mad Max type of
wow.
dystopian future for a while.
Right. Oh my gosh.
But that's a
So
cartoon. That's a bad example.
so I was gonna say, great cartoon, bad example
Yes.
of a definition of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Um, but the bottom line of uh what Anna is saying is that for her, she kind of whispers this, but she's like, the angels are losing. So whatever Lilith is doing and whatever is coming, the angels are losing.
Hmm.
So, this is bad news for us, and because if the angels are losing, then, what's left for humanity?
And then later, when an orderly comes in to give her medication, we can see that she can see the true faces of non-humans. Um, so we
So
just see
he's,
a guy and she starts freaking out.
your face, your face.
Yes,
Yeah.
kind of like how when Dean was close to going to hell, it was like within the
When the
last couple of
hellhounds were,
hours,
yeah, when the hellhounds were near, he could start to see
the
demons'
true
true
faces of,
faces. Yeah. And because I actually wrote down, I was like, I was like, is she someone who made a deal with the demon? That was my first thought.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but they didn't, there was no hellhound, there was no banging on the door. And I was like, maybe
Yeah,
not.
there's no yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And also she can move furniture with her mind. So like
And there's that. And there's that because she's able to like crush this guy to protect herself. She like moves furniture and crushes him, like slams his head up against the wall and knocks him out. And she's able to escape. She's
Yeah.
able to escape. And none of this is like she's not it looks like she's not intentionally doing this. She was scared, she was frightened, and she, it feels like this ability to move furniture, it looks like it just kind of came upon her. So it's not like she summoned it or anything like that. Like,
Yeah. All right, so then we cut to Splash and then current
yes.
time. I wrote down in a divey bar in parentheses, that's more like it. Compared to our last episode where they start off with
When they
that
were in
chipper guy.
Friendlies
He's
or
like, oh,
Applebee's,
great, hi,
right?
how's it going? You want to get some ice cream? Extreme?
Yeah, right.
So I was
Right.
like, this feels like home for
This
them here.
this is better. And they're hustling pool. I mean, and there was never even a second where I believed that they were not hustling pool because Dean is a terrible actor. Jensen is not. Dean is a terrible actor. So he was trying to act, like, don't do it, Sam, you're drunk.
I also feel like Sam is a terrible actor because that was like, oh, that's like the lamest drunk acting ever. Again, not Jared, but Sam. But to his
Credit.
to his credit, to sympathize with him a little bit, acting drunk is actually very, very hard to do when you're not actually drunk.
Right.
It's a really, really difficult thing to get like right and to feel, to put it out there and make it look like you're actually drunk without like going too overboard or making it too cheesy.
Yeah.
So
well, clearly they were doing it just right because the guy they were hustling was totally hooked.
He was probably drunk enough to just, he's like, oh, it's fine.
It's fine. I'm gonna take your money. So let's do it.
Yeah. So Sam and Dean are like inches away from like swindling like 500 smackers from this guy.
Right.
Which again, I was kind of like, oh, so this is like another income source from them. It's like not only do they hustle credit cards and identity fraud, but they hustle pool.
They hustle pool, which is dangerous to do, of course. But just after Sam breaks, which he does this fabulous, like almost clear the table type of, break. Of course, the guy that they're hustling is like, oh shit. Yeah. Sam looks up and sees Ruby sitting at the bar and like throws his cue on the table. He's like, dude, take the money. It's fine. And Dean's like, what? take the
Yeah.
money. And then he sees where Sam is headed, and he's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
So off to Ruby they go.
Hmm.
Dean, I just love that. I wrote down, Sam sees Ruby, Dean not happy.
Yes. That sums this up
um,
pretty well.
so Ruby says to Sam and Dean that she's been hearing whispers about Anna. And that the whisper is demons have orders to capture Anna alive. Why? We don't know. But it must be really important if it's not just to kill her, it's to capture her. So we need to go and basically save her.
Yeah.
Save her from the demons.
Look into this.
Sam wants to check it out. Dean doesn't trust Ruby. And off they go. Anyway.
Yeah.
And I have to say the dialogue between Sam and Dean in this episode I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed every scene where they were just together doing their Sam and Dean stuff. The brotherly conversations were actual conversations.
Yeah, they were good. I agree, especially following the scene because I wrote down like this scene like between the three of them was a weird scene to like pop back into the story because you think that there would be way more conflict between A, Dean and Ruby, and B, kind of like the three of them like knowing, you know, or not knowing, I guess, like what the hell Sam has been doing with Ruby this whole time that Dean was gone. This was just like so quick and abrupt, and it was just brushing under the rug. It's like, what the hell? Like, why wasn't there more conflict? And then this car scene comes, and it's like, oh, there's the conflict.
Oh, here it is. Yep. So they're Sam and Dean, not Ruby, are in the car. Dean's still grumpy about Ruby, and he needs details about Sam and Ruby did while he was in hell. He's like, what? I need more details here. And Sam's like, okay, fine. You want details? How about you tell me about your time in hell? No, not going to tell me? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And so now it's just silence. But in this silence, Sam is remembering, and we get to see parts of what Sam is keeping quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. So we flash back to 6 months ago, which would have been like just after Dean was dragged off to hell. An actual drunk Sam is making a crossroads deal. And this demon is not taking his soul on any kind of circumstance or occasion whatsoever.
Yeah.
Even with the demon knife in his hand.
Meaning Sam tricked him and
stabbed the knife into the demon's hand, and the demon is
pinned
still
him.
Like, no, I don't want this because
you
we
can kill
have
me.
Dean. That's what we want. You're here. Yep. That everything is how we are planning it, and it is delicious. You can kill me. I'm not gonna.
This is exactly what Lilith wants. Yep. He's like, so you and Sam pleads. He's like, I will trade places. I don't want 10 years. I don't 1 year. I want to trade places with Dean. So that didn't work out as planned for either the demon or for Sam. Yeah.
So then the rest of the car ride is just in silence.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like the demon when he said round and round the Winchesters go, because it was kind of a
here we go again.
Just kind of poking fun at them at the like, is this all you do is like make deals for each other?
Yeah, literally like spinning their wheels. It's like, all right, you couldn't do it, so next up is Sam. Let Sam try it. That didn't work, and it's the same thing. He even mentions, the demon even says, I'm a little nervous about being here since you put a bullet, since you killed my last coworker who showed up. And I was like, who was that? Oh yeah, it was the girl in the black dress.
Yeah.
So they're at the hospital. They show up at the hospital, Anna's hospital. They're in suits. And I just want to say that they are starting to look more and more comfortable in their suits and less like, guys who usually wear flannel who are suddenly stuffed into a suit. So they're starting to look better, like they're wearing the suits better and they're looking more comfortable in the characters in the suits. I just want to. And it doesn't hurt that they're also very attractive in their suits.
They're very handsome. They clean up nice.
They do. So they're talking to the psychiatrist who was Anna's psychiatrist. And I have to admit, she's giving them a lot of personal information on Anna.
Yes, this especially
I
since,
was like, where's the HIPAA that I wrote down? I
right.
was like,
Where is every psychiatrist on SVU saying that is client
doctor,
doctor confidential information? I
right?
cannot tell you this without like a
She
major
just gave
warrant.
them everything. I'm surprised she didn't tell her what like what her favorite snack was. I mean, it was
Right.
just laid it all out. She's schizophrenic. She had delusions of biblical designs, angels, demons. Here, look at her sketch pad. And,
Yeah.
hands Sam and Dean the sketch pad that Anna had been furiously drawing in when the demon first burst in on her. And the first couple pages are, pictures of stained glass windows. But then, like, Sam and Dean flip to this page and it says something about the witnesses.
Yes, and raising the witnesses. And
Raising the
then
witnesses.
that's when they like zero in, their faces change. They're like,
Oh,
whoa.
we know these words.
Yes. They
We know
even
these
had the
words.
symbol because if in the recap they even like brought back
Showed
that
us
symbol
the
of the
symbol.
raising the witnesses.
Yep.
And then the next page was a picture of Samhain.
Samhain
Uh,
with jack-o'-lanterns behind him.
yes, yes.
And so she's totally sketching their Great Pumpkin episode.
Yeah.
And even but the psychiatrist is like, so because Sam and Dean also say out loud, "Oh, this is from Revelation." And she's like, in the Bible? Yes, in the Bible. But since when does Revelation have jack-o'-lanterns? And they're like, it's one of those you had to be there
Yeah, yeah.
moments. They're like, don't worry, it means something to somebody. I did want to point out that I knew somebody who, in their dementia, as they declined, did have the exact same religious delusions,
The
demons.
66 seals.
Not the 60s, not that
No.
specific, but and that would be weird.
Yeah.
No, but just of the reality of demons and Satan, and that she was being pursued. And it just made me think, what if she didn't have that religious background, or that religious upbringing? Would that be in her psyche?
Right.
But I just thought it's interesting how that manifested, how her dementia manifested itself. And it was scary. She was scared. I mean, she was scared, obviously, because it was very real to her.
Right.
The idea of heaven and hell was very, very real based on her religion. And it manifested into her fears, unfortunately. So, the psychiatrist also then reveals that, one of the reasons that Anna may be having these, biblical delusions is because she grew up in the church. Basically, her father was a church deacon.
Yes. So then the boys head to her parents' house.
Parents' house. Yep.
As opposed as the sheriff's department.
Still in the same suits.
Yeah, I know. I kind of wrote down, I was like, are they FBI guys in the hospital? But then they're the sheriff's, whatever. It doesn't matter because these people are dead.
Are dead. Throats slashed. Sam finds sulfur left behind. So clearly the demons did this. Now here's another question I have. Sam and Dean, in this moment when they realize that the demons have been there, are like, okay, the demons beat us here. So where would Anna have gone? My question is, why do they assume that the demons don't already have Anna? If the demons beat them to that house, murdered the family, why would they assume that the demons didn't succeed in grabbing Anna? They assume that she wasn't there, isn't there, and must be someplace else. So where would she be? And so they're in the house and they're trying to figure out, they're speaking out loud, and they're like, where would you go if you were so and so and this happened? And Dean mentions, so if I'm Girl Interrupted, which is of course a movie about women in a mental institution, that ... Misha Collins was in. I didn't see the movie. Yes, I did not see.
I haven't seen the movie either.
I always wanted to.
Anything about that movie?
Because I do like Winona Ryder and I do like Angelina Jolie as performers, so I would love to see them. And it was a giant cast. But anyway, Misha Collins played a character named Tony in it. So a little shout out to Misha. Yes.
Well, they like to
Um,
do that, especially with Sam's oh my God, what's it? Gilmore Girls. They've done that a few times, right?
yes,
Um,
yes. Or with the movie posters that supposedly were there in the monster movie episode
right.
that we
Yeah.
couldn't see.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I leaned away from my microphone. Sorry.
So yes, they're like brainstorming where could she be. They spot a photo of her on the mantle. It's like, oh wait, her dad was a,
Church deacon.
a church deacon. She's been drawing all of these church windows in her sketchbook. They look like that one. She's probably there. A
Yeah,
clue.
a
Therefore,
clue. So off
3-0.
they go to her church.
Yes.
Um,
So at said church, the boys enter with their guns, at the ready. We can tell there's somebody there because the camera, is like from behind a hiding spot and there's like heavy
right.
breathing. And I think they get the sense as well pretty soon. They're like, okay, she's terrible at hiding. It's fine. Let's just put the guns away. Be like,
Put the guns
Anna, it's
away.
okay. We're Sam and Dean. And once they say their names, she knows everything about them.
She's like, you mean not Sam Winchester? He's like, well, yeah. And then, this is Dean. Dean? Is it really you? Not
The
the
one that was
Dean.
dragged from hell by Castillo?
Yeah. And he's like, yep, that's me. And yeah, you're right. She knows the entire story. She knows the angels gripping him, that it's Castiel gripped him from hell. And,
Mm-hmm.
but, and then she turns and looks at Sam. She's like, but the angels don't like you. Ooh, they love Dean. They
I
do
know.
not like
It makes
Sam.
me feel so bad for Sam. But
Um,
anyway.
but she says it out loud that she does overhear angels speaking, but she doesn't talk to them. She's
Yeah.
like, I don't think they even know I'm alive. I can just hear them when they're
Mm-hmm.
speaking, and they're not speaking right now, but when they do speak, I hear them. And Dean kind of coins it. He's like, oh, so you're just listening to angel radio.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at Dean. She's like, finally, somebody gets me.
Yeah, someone
Thank you for not
believes me,
thinking.
thank
Yeah,
God.
someone believe me. And write down Angel Radio because this comes up a lot
Yes.
in the rest of Supernatural, not just
Yeah.
this season. Now I also want to point out that Dean is surprisingly soft, surprisingly gentle with Anna. His usual sarcasm and his usual like get to the point, questions aren't there. He's actually asking her questions, and it's not like bedside Dean. He just isn't as upfront and brusque as he normally is. There's something about his uh, reactions to Anna, which is very um, un undean like when it comes to, especially given that he didn't want to be searching for Anna to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like just ready to get this done and move on to the next. He now has this weird, not weird. He has an uncharacteristic interest
Yeah.
in Anna.
Interesting that he is so accepting of her like hearing voices, so to speak, or something unnatural happening with this girl.
Mm-hmm.
When the same kind of thing was happening to Sam, something unnatural, and he was so like, ooh, I don't know if I want to
Freak.
be near you. Freak, 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 freak. But then this
Yep.
pretty little redhead, he's like, oh, what's
Oh, what's
happening?
going on with that? Yeah. And so Sam asked, so when did you start? You haven't always heard, angel voices. When did this start happening? And she's like, 2 months ago, which is both Sam and Dean are like, aha, the day I was pulled
Yeah, she
from
says the
hell,
exact date. She was like, it was September 18th. And they're
18th.
like,
Yep.
that was the day that
That I
I
yeah.
crawled from the ground.
Yeah. And she said, yes, I remember that because all the angels said Dean Winchester is saved.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what they figure out is that the demons want Anna so that they can spy on the angels, and she can hear them. They want to be able to listen in on their conversations, essentially. And again, my question is, how do they know she hears them? How did it
Well,
suddenly happen that this redhead in whatever, state she's in, how do they know that this girl can hear what the angels are saying?
I guess if we think about it logically, she's been maybe in this hospital for 2 months, or at least it's been 2 months since she's been hearing voices. Don't know how long she's been in that hospital.
Right.
But the demons can kind of be anywhere, right? So maybe one of them just happened to be nearby or in the area.
And caught wind of it.
Yeah, like if this freaking psychiatrist was just like blabbing to everybody, like it seems like she kind of was. It was like, oh, she's talking about this girl named Lilith who's like gonna break seals and shit like that. Then the demons are like, interesting.
Interesting that Lilith is trying to break the seals. So,
Or that
okay.
this random chick, this random human knows Lilith's plan. How does she know this?
How does she know?
You know, just kind of picking information here and there. But in any case,
Ruby Burson.
Yes, Ruby Burson saying like, "Hey, everyone found you. They know where you are because they followed you from the parents' house." And right on cue, there's a statue, a Madonna statue, like nearby that just starts crying blood.
Crying bloody tears, which is never a good sign. Not being religious myself, I'm gonna say the Virgin Mary
would not want to be around
bleeding is not good.
Right.
And so Sam, quick thinking, stashes Anna in a closet.
Yeah.
Just gonna leave that there. His quick thinking shoves Anna in a closet, so that they can face a demon that can track people.
Well, to be fair, Ruby was like, you got to exercise him. You got to use your mind powers, you know, because he grabs the knife first. Like, he doesn't automatically go to like, oh, I'm going to be, you know,
I'm going to pull this demon out. No. Right.
Also, I want to point out that Dean, when he saw the crying Madonna, did not seem unfamiliar with it. I don't want to say he seems not surprised, but he did seem like, he took note. I know what's coming.
Yeah, he took note.
He also does not fight Ruby when she says you got to use your mind powers, Sam.
Right. It's actually Sam that she has to convince. She's like, yeah, you may go dark. This may be your chance to go dark side, but we have to do this.
Yeah.
And again, the number of times that in this episode and the next, somebody has said, you must do this or we all die. And the same thing with the previous, not the wishful thinking episode, but the Castiel episode. Yeah. That everyone always says, you must do this or everyone dies. Sam Hain cannot rise or everybody dies. Okay, well, he rose and not everybody died.
Right.
You know, I mean, yes, they ended up killing him. But I'm just saying, it's like all this, like, do this or we all die. And then Sam and Dean, like, you know, live to fight another day. And it's like, stop with these dire projections, you know, because you're failing.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of, I've been rewatching Buffy. It's very reminiscent of Buffy because there are so many episodes in the first 3 seasons that are like, it's the end of the world. Oh no. Yes. The hellmouth is opening. It's like, it's all of the time the world is ending and it's so dramatic.
Yes.
And I do appreciate the one episode that they make fun of that, where Xander goes off and does his own thing and like the rest of the Scoobies are like dealing with like the most dramatic, you know, end of the world thing ever, and we never really know what it is. We just see Xander being like, okay, do.
If I'm not thinking about it, it's fine.
Yeah. But then he saves the school from being blown up by a bunch of zombies. But no one knows about it because they're all like, anyway.
Oh God, I need to go back.
It's a different podcast.
Oh God. All right. So yeah. So Ruby says Sam has to pull this demon or we die. And in comes a very well dressed pediatrician.
Yes.
Sam tries to right away does the hand up and tries to like quote pull the demon out of this guy. His eyes go flip to white, so he's a white-eyed demon like Lilith is. And then his eyes flip back and he's like, oh, that tickles. So Sam completely powerless against this demon. This is a big bad. So worse than Sawain.
Yep. So once that happens, then Ruby runs and grabs Anna from the closet and runs away.
Yeah. the demon like mind blasts Sam through the door and down the flight of stairs. So he's like gone, and he turns on Dean, and the demon turns on Dean, who he knows. He calls Dean by name.
Yeah, that's not uncommon for a demon to call Dean by name. They all are like, "Oh, it's the Winchesters." But and he's like, "You remember me from hell, how much fun we had." So he pulls
Right.
a very specific instance
Yeah,
of
of
like,
why you know me.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And Dean recognizes him and calls him by name, Alistair.
yeah.
So even though he's in a pediatrician, his
Uh-huh.
his mannerisms Dean recognizes and calls him by name, Alistair.
Yeah.
Who then proceeds to beat the crap out of Dean.
Oh yeah.
I looked up the demon Alistair because I just want to know, what his meaning was. And he is the high-ranking archdemon, more the chief executioner to the monarch of hell. So
That tracks.
that
When
works.
we learn more about him, that definitely tracks.
Yep. So Sam returns back up the stairs, has the blade, and stabs Alistair. Not in the heart, unfortunately.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything.
It sparks.
It doesn't do anything because that knife is not. It's not like a vampire stake where you have to hit him in the heart.
Get him in the heart.
They generally just kind of stab them wherever, and then the knife does the job
or
of
slice
the
them.
demon.
Yep.
This did nothing, or like barely anything.
Yeah,
and in fact,
it was
Alistair is just like bracing himself to like remove it from his body, and this is when the boys like look at each other and be like, "Fuck,
yeah,
we cannot do this."
Yeah, and they also like take note that Ruby and Anna are gone. They have no other options, so live to fight another day. They turn and throw themselves out a plate glass window from the second story of the church, which, by the way, excellent stunt.
They did that themselves.
I could tell. I could absolutely tell. It looked fantastic.
Yeah, it did.
Leaving, of course, Alistair with the blade.
Yeah.
Because Alistair then walks to the window, looking down at them, having smashed through it. As he's pulled the blade out of his body, and he's just kind of looking at it, looking down at Sam and Dean. And then it's like, all right, next step.
Yeah. This guy is cool as a cucumber.
Yep. So back at a motel, which at first we don't know what it is. Later on, we learn it's the Blue Rose Motel. It's a pretty nondescript motel. They didn't spend a lot of time.
They've done the Blue Rose Motel before. I'm almost positive that they did. Yes,
I mean, it looked the name looked familiar to me, but I'm like, oh, it's because I watched it last week.
They've done the name the Blue Rose Motel before. I'm almost positive. It was the one where I forget her name, but one of the psychic kids, the chick comes like to Sam and says, "Hey, I had a vision of you dying." And then Gordon like chases after Sam
and shoots at him in the ring. Yeah,
that was the Blue Rose. That was the name of the Blue Rose. I'll circle back with that.
Circle back on that one because that was a very nondescript motel room. There was nothing. They didn't focus on anything in the room that we would.
I think there were bigger things going on than the decor of the motel room, such as. These kids are in a rough shape. They're literally stitching themselves back together.
Sam is sewing his arm up.
Yeah.
Dean has a dislocated shoulder and he's, rinsing his mouth out, spitting blood.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean still hassles Sam about leaving the blade behind.
Yes.
And not in a mean way, but just in a brother like, oh, so you lost the blade, huh?
Yeah, you lost it, by the way.
I think Sam kind of gets him back because when he goes to reset Dean's shoulder, he's like, here, I'll reset it on 3. 1, and doesn't even give Dean a chance to react. He just ruthlessly resets his dislocated shoulder, which I would be thankful for because tensing up for 3 is
I feel like it was more of a like this is just to get it over with.
I know. I still felt like it was a little bit of a payback.
I'm sure he enjoyed it, though.
The pain.
No doubt that he enjoyed it.
Yeah. So now it seems like Dean really wants to find Anna. It's less the mystery now of what's going on. It's what we have to do right now is rescue Anna. And Sam says again she's safe. She's with Ruby, so she is fine. And Dean still doesn't trust. And this time, Dean says, "Okay, I'm not trying to pick a fight. I actually want to know why you've been telling me this. Why do you trust Ruby so much?"
Mm-hmm.
And again, softer, gentler, not the aggressive Dean, the way Dean usually tries to get answers, which is ask the question. If I don't get it, fine. He's like, we got to talk about this. So Sam tells him, he's like,
Yeah.
Ruby saved my life.
Cue flashback 6 months earlier, where we see a just as drunk Sam walking into his motel room to two demons.
Yeah, he gets jumped by 2 demons.
Yeah, laying in wait for him. And in the banter, he realizes that the lady demon is Ruby.
As a blonde.
She's back. Yep. A different
Did
blonde, not the same blonde as the first Ruby.
I didn't like this actress, but
well, she was only there for a little bit, so it's okay.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah, so those 2 demons are there. She's monologuing to Sam that she, made amends with Lilith while she was down in hell. Lilith trusts her again, and the only way to fully regain her Lilith's trust is if she kills Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been released from hell on good behavior to go and kill Sam.
Yes.
And Sam, being exhausted and hopeless, and fairly suicidal, I would say. It's like, fine, kill me. Let me go see my brother. Yeah, just do it.
Done.
Yeah. And so Ruby's like, well, okay. And pulls back the knife and instead stabs the demon that's holding Sam. So double crossing Ruby, it was all part of the plan.
So surprise. So then Sam is driving away with a peppy Ruby, craving French fries.
But she's so self-satisfied. She's like so self-satisfied.
But he's begrudging of her help or her, for her
everything,
saving
just
his
her
life. He's like,
her interference in his life. He's like, I don't care. I didn't ask you to be here.
Right. I don't care about the hell of hell and what you had to do to get back. I didn't ask you to do this.
Yeah.
So
and can you help Dean? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Get out. Yeah. Pulls the car over and is like, done with you. Yeah. Thanks for saving me. One more day I get to live, basically.
Yeah.
Get out. And then on top of that, he's like, so whose body are you? And he uses the word riding. Whose body are you riding? And Ruby's like, a secretary. And he's like, let her go. Yeah. You want to prove yourself to me? Let that body go.
Mm-hmm.
And she does. She does. It's so clearly this is important to her.
Yeah, she does. We see like a brunette chick who is the Ruby that we know now, in a coma in a hospital. Yep. They unplug her. She's a Jane Doe.
She's a Jane Doe, yeah.
And then when she flatlines and she comes back to life again, asking for French fries.
French fries. Yep. So now it's the Ruby we know. And questions asked apparently by the doctors. She shows up. She's been able to track Sam down in the meantime, in this like abandoned house, which is a very Dean-esque, like ramshackle, house that he's squatting in. And she shows him like
place. I would be there.
She shows him proof of like her certificate of like comatose. Yeah. She even makes a comment like, I'm recycling.
Socially conscious.
Right.
Suit,
right.
Whatever.
Al Gore would be so proud of me. Yeah. Which I thought was kind of.
This was the Ruby that. Okay. Here's my thing about I like Genevieve.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel like I felt like this was a way different Ruby than the one that we had known from the season prior.
Yeah.
Who was just super snarky, and always had a comeback.
Yeah. And very take care of herself type of girl.
Yeah.
And
Jen's Ruby is not that way. This was a little bit of that old Ruby,
Yeah.
Just kind of snappy, sassy.
Yep.
But anyway. So blah
So
blah blah blah
Sam's
blah.
like,
Plus
great,
that she
what do
didn't
you,
take it. Yeah,
yeah. And
and
Sam's
she
like, so
still
what,
says,
why are
I
you here?
can't. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
save Dean. I still don't have that power, but I have something maybe you would want just as much, and that's to kill Lilith.
train. Yeah, we need to train.
Mm-hmm.
We can't, you can't just run off and try to kill her.
Yeah,
Okay,
which he
you're
wants to
not.
do. He's just
Yeah,
like, done, got it, let's
done.
go.
Yeah. And she's like, nope, I need you to sober up. I need you to slow down. I need you to have patience. This is going to take some time. She says, let's get it right. So if we're going to kill Lilith, let's get it right. Cut to present day, present time. Dean is intently listening to what Sam has to say, and clearly some time has passed. It's darker outside. The Dean has a drink and is listening. It looks like Sam has changed his clothes, and has moved on from his surgery of his own arm. But Dean is letting him tell his story. He's listening. So cut back to the flashback. Sam is trying to pull a demon out of somebody. He's got Ruby and him have a guy tied to a chair inside a devil's trap. And, Sam's doing the handout pull, trying to pull this, demon out. And he can't do it.
It's not going well. Yeah,
it's not going well. He can't do it. And the demon's laughing at him. And Ruby's like, you know what? Stabs him with the blade. And it's like, that's not funny, Yeah. But Sam truly pissed that he's not succeeding. He's not learning fast enough.
Yes, because this means that he won't be able to do this to Lilith, which is like, that's his only goal that he has in his sight.
Yep. His head hurts. Yeah, he's taking aspirin. He's still drinking, taking aspirin with alcohol.
Who hasn't?
Just saying. No, I know, but it just the ramifications. It's just like, oh, that's so bad for you.
But she tries to be sympathetic. She gives him her sob story. It's like, oh, I still have lingering human feelings sometimes.
I know what it's like.
She says, yeah. And it's not hitting the way that she wants it to. He's just like, stop it. I don't want to hear this. Like, I don't care if you've been human, because like I'm in pain right now. Like, so I just can't do it.
Cannot save my brother, and I don't want to hear this from you.
Yeah.
You of all people don't get to do this. But she keeps at him. She keeps pushing at him, and she ends up kissing him.
Yeah.
And he breaks away, and he's like, stop, this is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And of course I'm like, yes, it is. It's totally wrong. She's a demon. That's disgusting. But she keeps at him. She keeps at him and starts talking about, her body and, don't worry about it.
She's persistent and convincing.
Yeah. I mean, and she does end up seducing him, and he breaks. He absolutely falls for it. I mean, she's sexy. She's this gorgeous woman, and she's starting to say the right things, which I think any man would fall for, especially someone who was so broken and so desperate for connection. She's saying the things that he needs to hear, even though he doesn't want to believe in it. And so they end up, clothes go flying, and pretty hot sex scene happens, even though I'm just like, oh, it's hot, but she's a demon. Don't do it.
I know. Here's the thing. Like, anytime that Sam has a sexy scene, I'm like, oh, wow. That's pretty hot. Like, Dean gets, he's always getting the ladies, like, all the time. But, like, whenever they throw Sam a bone, I'm like, ooh, this is nice.
It's also just because he's just so subtly sexy,
Yeah.
Because he's not out there on the prowl.
He's a little bit of a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets kind of.
Yes. It's not like he doesn't know what to do, because we see it. He absolutely. I mean, he like almost throws her over his head when he goes to like lift her up. I mean, and she's also like this tall. I mean, Genevieve is like this teeny tiny little person.
Yeah.
Grew up and put her in his pocket. Cut to Dean, which this was comic genius. Is that because it was like, clothes are tearing off, the fire is popping, the music is swelling, the bodies are cut to Dean.
Yep.
And he's like, Sam,
dude,
too much information. And my question is, Was Sam describing the sex scene the way we were seeing it? Because if
I
so,
assume so.
oh God, poor Dean is like, not, I need like brain bleach, it's like, what do you call it? Like head stabbing imagery aside.
But it's pretty hypocritical of Dean to be like, hey, too much information.
Yeah, especially given that Sam's walked in on him, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in
And
in
didn't
in
Dean hit on his
flagrante.
mom in the past?
uh
They have both crossed some lines here. So
So what Dean
anywho.
says, yeah, what Dean says is like, yes, you're giving me the details, but what I'm learning from all of this, sex aside, is that you were manipulated. She screwed you to manipulate you and to play with your mind, to
Mm-hmm.
get you to try to kill, to go dark side,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. Try to get you. So that's keep explaining because I'm not hearing the good stuff here. Just no nudity. Like tell me more. Just
Yeah.
keep the nudity, out, which is kind of a funny. I love that going dark side is the vernacular now. Total Star Wars reference, but it is so commonplace that everybody knows what it means.
Yeah, it
You know
is.
what I mean? I love that.
Yeah.
It kind of gives
Even
me,
before I had even seen any of the Star Wars, I knew what
you knew what it
dark
meant.
side meant. Yeah.
I love that. I just kind of makes me happy.
So they go back to the flashback, and it's a month later they find out that Lilith is in town or nearby.
Mm-hmm.
And he is like, great, we're going. I'm packing a bag. This is it. She tries to stop him. She's like, you're not strong enough. You can't do this. This is a kamikaze attack because you don't want to keep going, keep living without your brother. Calls him out, like totally reads him.
Yep. Since you want to die. You want to go get killed by Lilith.
Yeah, it's like she's trying to stop him even though he is the only one that can stop her, and she says that often. Mm-hmm. But not right now because she can see his destructive nature and he's not ready yet.
He's not in control. Yep. But he slams her up against the wall, takes the blade, and doesn't just hold it to her throat, like presses the blade into her neck and is like, you gonna stop me?
Yeah.
And she doesn't. And he's like, that's what I thought. Yeah. And walks away. Like it's like he dares her, try to stop me. Try to stop me because you know what? I will kill you. Sex aside. So next scene we see Sam is in a suburban area, comes out, walks up to this cute little suburban house. He sees a little girl. He sees the back of a little girl sitting at a dining room table, and there's cupcakes on the table. So it's very reminiscent.
Surrounded by sweets. Yeah. Yes.
It's very reminiscent of the last time we saw Lilith when she killed poor Freckles. And he lets himself into the house without turning the knob, by the way. I thought this was really a bad take. We see a closed door. We hear a doorknob, turn, but it's one of those like handles, push down handles. The knob doesn't move and the door just opens. I'm like, really? You couldn't bother to, turn the knob, whatever. So Sam lets himself into the house. He's looking around, doesn't see, like opens the closet door, doesn't see anything, and is like kind of stealthily sneaking around the house looking for, demons in wait, and then sees Lilith, or he sees the little blonde girl sitting at the table. And as he's sneaking up behind her to kill her, she turns and she is this little girl just crying. And she says, I just want to go home. So it's not Lilith. And at the same time,
Lilith. And, he gets ambushed by two demons. It's a trap. Lilith isn't there.
Yeah. And they attack Sam, knocking the blade out of his hand.
Yes.
Knocking the blade out of his hand. And now, so Sam is fighting these two demons. Ruby now sneaks in because, of course, she follows Sam. She picks up the blade. She stabs the first demon. The second demon is like, what the heck? And when he turns, Sam is able to get free. Ruby yells, take the girl and go.
Yeah.
And he does. So Sam rescues the little girl and runs off, leaving Ruby to fight this remaining demon. Which she does. She gets a couple of good, some good punches in. But here's my question. She gets some good punches in. why does she suddenly stop and look afraid? And the pause that she took to stop and look afraid is enough for this guy, this demon, to get the upper hand and like punch her back and knock the blade out of her hand.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Not to say it didn't happen. My
Mm-hmm.
question was when after this instant and he's like choking her and like holding her up to
Up.
the wall, I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like, does this actually physically hurt her?
A
You know,
demon?
a
Yeah.
demon if they're just like in a meat suit, they don't really need to breathe, so he's not really choking her out. Is it only because it's a demon fighting another demon and they're like hurting each other in like their supernatural kind of way that this actually hurts? But
Yeah. Hmm. So, two questions, one from me, one from you.
yeah.
One is, why did she stop long enough just to get punched in the face and drop the blade? So now the blade has been taken away twice in the same
Yeah.
scene. And then two, can demons like kill each other, like do damage
In
to
human
their
form.
in human
Yeah.
form? I'm gonna say yes because it looked like, you
It
know,
did, but I was always I feel like whenever they fought demons before,
they just
besides
kind of
the
get up.
knife, it's just like, oh, whatever. We'll just keep
Yeah,
going. This is
because Meg,
literally just a vehicle to like
yeah, Meg fell out of a 4-story window and
Yeah,
still walked
exactly.
away. So,
Exactly.
huh. Good
Hmm.
question.
But
Good
anyway, so
question.
he's like, as he's choking her out and putting her up against the wall, he's like, how dare you? You're really gonna pay for it, blah blah blah.
Cough, cough,
And
cough.
then just starts like coughing himself out
Yep.
because Sam has returned and
And
has
is
started
now
to,
psychically pulling the
yeah.
demon out of his body. And out he goes. We look back at Sam and he's got his bloody nose again. Ruby's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." He
Hmm.
now has, even though he's bleeding, his complexion is different. He's
Yeah.
breathing hard, but he doesn't have that manic look in his face. It's like
Uh-huh.
he accomplished something. He's driven. He's focused. He's not out of control anymore. Um, so back to present time. Cut to present time back at the motel. And Sam says directly to Dean, so the story is she saved me. She got through to me.
Hmm.
And one of the things is she said to me what you would have said to me. And that's what got through to me. Um, and in the middle of this, they're interrupted by a knock on the door. Housekeeping. Like, what? They're like, not now. And then, not like knocks again, like, I have clean towels. And this was so reminiscent of did you see the movie Tommy Boy?
Yes, a long time ago, but I have seen that movie.
Uh, there's just a scene where Chris Farley is pretending to be a housekeeper at a hotel and he's like, housekeeping, I have pillows. You want me to sit on your okay, anyway, so it just reminded me of Tommy Boy. But yeah, so Dean's like, what the hell? What, clean towels? So he's like, fine. He goes and opens the door, and this housekeeper with a stack of towels like pushes her way into the
Yeah,
room.
she like lets herself in, puts the towels
Yep.
down, closes the shades, and just turns right to them. She's like, "This is where you need to go. This is what you need to do."
Go now. Don't take your car. Go out the back.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean's like, what? Who? And Sam is like, Ruby? So Ruby has like hijacked this hotel housekeeper. And she's like, yeah, what, you want to make something of it now? I'm here to help you and save you. My Ruby body, my other body is like rotting on the floor with
Yeah.
where I stashed Anna.
Anna.
That's where you need to go. And I need to get back there. So, chop, chop, let's go. And hustles them like out the back of the
Mhm.
room. And she goes out the front door. Very funny scene and a very
Mhm.
great bit actress
Yes.
playing the
Yep.
housekeeper. Loved that. And Dean
Yeah.
just seemed a little bemused by the whole like
What just
costume
happened?
swap,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah, little Ruby on a day trip. So the boys head out to a different shack and they meet up with Anna, who is happy to see them. She's also recognized that Ruby is a different kind of demon.
different kind of demon. Yep.
Dean attempts to apologize and or thank Ruby for saving
Terribly.
Sam. It was an
Terribly.
attempt, I guess. I don't know, but
Well, Ruby didn't make it easy for him, and nor
no,
should she have.
no.
And so we didn't really actually get around to saying I'm sorry or thank you for Sam. And
Right,
he's like, "Are we
right.
done? Are we done?
Yeah,
You recognize what I was trying to do? Okay, moment's over. Moving on." But Anna still doesn't know that her folks are dead, and she's asking about them. And enter bedside Sam, who
yeah,
tries to explain to her, tries to break it to her gently, that her parents are dead. And when she puts it together that demons killed her parents, she breaks down. Anna
yeah,
breaks down. She's like, why is all of this happening to me? Why? And in the middle
yeah.
of this, the lights start to flicker, and she kind of wakes up a little bit and is like, oh my God, they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone turns into like all hands on deck mode. It's like they all kind of snap to, everyone grabs for weapons. It's like they're looking
Mm-hmm.
around to see how they can secure the place. What do we need to do?
Mm-hmm.
Ruby is like, where's the knife? And once again, Dean is like, well, someone left it
Throw Sam
behind.
straight under the bus.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sam's like, thanks a lot. In
Yeah.
this moment of they're about to die or be overrun by demons and they're bickering.
They still can't help each other.
They still
Jesus
can't.
Christ.
Yeah. So what's happening now is the wind is blowing, the lights are flickering, and the walls are shaking. And now it's like this is very reminiscent of Castiel's entrance. Boom, the doors fly open and in walks in Castiel and Uriel, which I didn't understand why Dean didn't recognize that. But
well,
they've
I
been
mean, he's only seen it once. I don't know.
That's true.
And also, didn't that kind of happen with Alistair when he entered in the church? Wasn't it kind of like shaky and loud? And I mean,
not
I
as
honestly
like
don't remember, but
there was no flickering of lights and there was no wind. So maybe it's just Castiel is windy.
Maybe. Yeah, Castiel and Uriel are there.
And Uriel. And so there's a little bit of relief in the tension. They're like, oh, the angels are here. Are you here to help Anna? And the answer is no. We're here to kill her.
Kill her.
To be continued.
To die.
Yeah, she has to die. Exactly. To be continued. And that's the way this episode ended, which is why I just went boop and clicked on to the next episode and watched the whole next episode. Because I was like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah.
I don't remember how this ends. So yeah. I loved this episode. I forgot to mention that while Anna was, when she first found out about her parents, that there's a cut to Dean. And Dean actually looks very upset that she is upset, that she is going through all of this. He seems very moved by her situation, which is very un-Dean that we've seen. So I just wanted to point that out that, again, he still seems softer towards her than any other person, any other female, and any other character that's been in distress on the show. So, and not like in the, what was it, Dead in the Water, where he was like flirty McFlirty with the mom, So he doesn't seem to be doing that here. He actually seems genuinely concerned for Anne, which is different than I've seen him before.
I loved this episode, and I really like that they got back to the bones of the story of the through line, the theme.
Yeah, and what do the angels? Yeah, what do the angels mean that they're there to kill? I mean, we're learning more and more that the angels really are just dicks,
assholes.
Like all they want to do is kill. We're gonna smite this whole town just to potentially get rid of one witch.
She can tune into your radio, so you're gonna kill her, so no one can ever hear her again. You don't have the power to just like shut it off,
Right? Maybe stop talking so loud. It's
exactly.
Yeah, it's like, why is the answer with these angels is always death?
Yeah,
it's always kill, kill, kill. I forgot about that. I forgot about Castiel in these episodes. Uriel is just Uriel. He's a dick through and through, but Castiel has already shown that he always tells Dean that he's different, that he has his doubts, and that he questions. So we know that he's a little different, but he's still the one who
Not
says,
that much.
yeah, he's still the one who says, yeah, no, we got to kill her. We got to kill her. And what we learn in the next episode is like, oh, God. So,
all right. Speaking of next episode.
Yes.
That would be Heaven and Hell.
What? I can't imagine how that title is going to play into that episode.
Me neither.
It's only a 2-parter. It's not a 3-parter. So there is some sort of resolution in this episode.
We're almost halfway through.
We're doing good.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in this week to I Know What You Did Last Summer. Be sure to subscribe to us anywhere you can find podcasts. Please also rate us, review us on Apple Podcasts. It would be a help, probably. You know, we're not drowned out by all the celebrities. Anyway, you can also find us on YouTube. We are at Salt and Burn This. In fact, we are at Salt and Burn This on every social media platform, so you can find us anywhere. That's all I got. You got anything?
I got nothing.
Great. We are very good at this. Okay, we will see you next time for Heaven and Hell. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.